Hey, I didn't see you there. Is it time already? Wow, I got distracted with my breakfast. Sorry, let me put this away so we can jump into our lesson. Today we're gonna talk about the male reproductive system. I know, you're not interested in talking about that, but as I told you at the beginning of the chapter, it's very important that we do. So why don't we start? Well, I think it's better if we move to a better place to study. Yeah, I think this will be better, but something doesn't feel right yet. Oh, I think I could be better dressed. Mm, I don't know, maybe I could do a little bit better. Yeah, I think that's better. I feel more like Teacher Alfredo now. Hit it! Welcome to this new episode of Teacher Alfredo Explains. Today, the male reproductive system. Thank you for joining me today in Teacher Alfredo Explains. As I told you a few minutes ago, today we're going to be reviewing the male reproductive system. It's a very simple lesson, but it is very important for following lessons and for the rest of your life. Now, as puberty goes by, boys will be experiencing changes in their bodies, more specifically in their genital area. Now, to show you some of the changes that they will experience, I'm going to show you this. What I like about this is that it shows you the average age in which boys will be experiencing, let's say, the most important changes of their genital organs. Now, we're talking about average here because remember that each individual is different and they may be presenting those changes before or after other kids. Okay? For example, there will be an increase in testis size around the age of 11, but it can happen at the age of 9 or it can happen at the age of 14. Your penis will also experience a growth stage around the age of 12, but it can happen anytime between the ages of 10 and 14. No matter when those changes start, by the time you reach 17 years old, your genital organs will be fully developed. Moving on. What is the main function of the male reproductive system? Now that's a very simple question to answer. The main function of the male reproductive system is to produce and release active sperm cells. That's it. It produces and releases active sperm.
But Teacher Alfredo, what is an
Wait a
active
minute.
sperm?
Who said that? Did you listen to that too? Okay, well, at least I'm not going crazy. Well, that's a good question, whoever asked it. We talk about active sperm cells when we refer to the male reproductive system cells that are fully mature. That means that they are ready for fertilization and to produce pregnancies. Sperm cells are going to be divided into three main parts, as shown in this diagram. As you can see, the sperm cell has a very peculiar shape, and its three elements are going to be known as the head, the midpiece, and the tail. Now, the head is a very important part, for it contains the nucleus. As any other cell in your body, that's where the DNA will be stored. The midpiece is an important part as well, for it contains lots of mitochondria that will provide the energy the sperm requires to travel through the female reproductive system. And the tail is the third important part. Yes, I know, every single part is important. The tail, also known as flagellum, is the one responsible for movement. This little tail is going to be whooping around, giving the sperm cell the movement it needs. Now, one more important detail about sperm cells is that at the tip of the head, they will contain a special substance that will be required later for the fertilization process. For those at home who don't remember, fertilization is the process through which the sperm cell joins the egg cell to produce a new individual. That's right. Thank you. Now, let's analyze the different elements of the male reproductive system. For that, I'm going to use another diagram. Now, we will begin with the main organ of the male reproductive system, and that's the testes. Okay? Now, just to make it clear, testes is the plural form of testes. Okay? Testes, two testes, testes, one testes, left, right testes, testes, two. Okay. So, inside the testes, we will find a very complex network of tiny tubes known as seminiferous tubules. In there is where the sperm cells are going to be created. Now, most of the organs in our body are internal, like our lungs, our heart, our stomach. They're found inside our body, but the testes are outside. They're going to be found hanging inside a special sac known as the scrotum in between our legs. Now, a question for the boys. If the testes are so important and delicate, why are they outside? Wouldn't it be better for them to be protected inside the body? Okay, I'm going to answer that question later. Let's continue. Above the testes, we will find a coiled tube that is known as the epididymis. Okay? Now, the epididymis is the place where the sperm cells will mature and will be stored. What does that mean? As I told you before, when sperm cells are created, they are not fully developed. They are not ready for pregnancy. They need to go through a process of maturation, which will happen, yes, in the epididymis. Once the cells are mature, they're going to be stored until they are required. They're going to stay there in the epididymis until we require their services. Our third element of the male reproductive system is going to be known as the vas deferens. That's yet another tube that will connect the epididymis outside in the scrotum all the way up with the urethra. Okay, the vas deferens is going to be this tube that transports the sperm cells when they are needed. It's going to take them from the testicles or from the scrotum all the way up into the abdominal cavity around our bladder to join with the urethra so they can come outside. That brings us to our last element of the male reproductive system, or the ejaculatory tract, the urethra. Now, this tube is going to be the final part or the final section of this tract. Through the urethra is where we release the sperm cells during ejaculation or urine during urination. The urethra is going to be found inside the penis, and the only function of the penis is to release the sperm cells as close as possible inside the female reproductive system. And that's it. Those are the elements of the male reproductive system. If you have any questions about the elements, make sure you type them down in the chat and I will gladly answer them. Oh, that I remember, I left my breakfast downstairs, so if you don't mind, I'm gonna get comfortable again and I will enjoy my breakfast. See you tomorrow.